Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. But what do you do when you've caught them all? Sure, you can become a Pokemon master by honing your battle skills, or do what most people do and play literally any other video game. I, however, have taken a different approach. I have dedicated my life to finding and documenting some of the rarest Pokemon to ever exist. My name is Professor Rex, and today I'm going to be showcasing 10 of the rarest Pokemon in my collection. First, we have a Pokemon that has become almost synonymous with the professor's lab. Shiny Chansey. Back in 2019, I began my journey of documenting what the rarest Pokemon in the entire franchise was. I started by looking at Generation 3. Anyone who's ever played through a Kanto game probably already knows just how unforgiving the Safari Zone can be, and in Generation 3, since balls can't be passed down through breeding, the Safari Zone is the only place to grab Pokemon in Safari Balls. So I dug. I wanted to know what the odds of finding and catching Shiny Chansey in the Fire Red and Leaf Green Safari Zone were. This led me down a massive rabbit hole and the discovery of the infamous bait strat. If you want to learn more about that, be sure to check out the video I've made on the topic or the research paper. Both links are in the description. Utilizing the repel trick, Chansey's encounter rate can be brought up from 4% to 5.33%. So with Gen 3's classic 1 in 8192 shiny odds, we could expect an average of nearly 154,000 encounters just to see a shiny Chansey. If we use the bait strat, we have a 19.1% chance to catch it, meaning that the average number of encounters needed to catch a Chansey is almost 806,000. That makes it pretty rare. Unfazed, I set out with as many GameCubes as I could muster to track down a shiny Chansey. 31,304 encounters into Safari Week 2020, the first shiny Chansey popped up.
Shiny Chansey!
Oh my god!
Oh, what?
Dude.
Are you kidding me?
Oh my god!
Are you kidding me?
And fled after the first bait.
Come on. Come on. No! No! No!
Next, at 124,520 Pokemon seen.
Oh!
No! Shiny Chansey number 2? What the What? Shiny Chansey number 2!
Chansey stuck around for 4 turns.
Okay.
And then walked away.
Oh, no shakes. No!
God.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Finally, at 5 a.m. on February 6th, 2021, after 304,474 encounters in the Safari Zone,
Oh my goodness! Holy what?
Cheemsey ate for 15 turns straight before being caught on the 10th ball.
No.
Oh, Chansey, don't do it.
Oh my god,
Oh my goodness, we're still got it here.
Oh my
Okay.
god. Okay.
Another ball.
1, 2, 3.
Yes!
Yes!
Oh my god!
Oh my god, we caught it!
We actually have we own a Chansey?
With just a single Gen 3 exclusive ribbon, I can prove exactly where my Cheemsey came from, no matter how far up into the series I transfer her. If you want to see the full journey and the many phases that went into catching her, be sure to subscribe so you can catch that video when it comes out. Of course, this Chansey is the level 26 Chansey, so someday I may need to take on the challenge of getting the 1% level 23 one. The second Pokemon I have to show off today comes from Pokémon Go. In February of 2022, Niantic held the Johto Tour. The tour featured Pokemon originally from Gold and Silver and paid homage to one of my favorite features to ever exist in the Pokemon series, roaming Pokemon. In Pokemon Gold and Silver, Raikou, Entei, and Suicune can be randomly encountered around Johto after being disturbed in Ecruteak's Brass Tower. As they roam around, the players can encounter them, but unless an action is taken to stop them from doing so, They will flee at the very first opportunity they get. In the same way, Niantic had the 3 legendary beasts spawning in the wild, but the odds of capturing them was extremely slim, and they would almost always flee after players threw the first ball. What's fascinating is that wild spawns can be as low as level 1, so as soon as I heard of this feature being part of the event, I knew what I had to do. I pulled up a friend's account on my second phone and checked their Pokédex. With none of the legendaries registered to the Pokédex, the nearby list would prioritize those spawns over spawns that were already registered to the Pokédex. On the day of the Go Johto tour, I met up with Professor Jack, Litlasofa, and Jay Long in downtown Toronto with a single goal: find one of these legendary beasts as a low-level shiny. Prior to this event, the lowest level these Pokemon had ever been available at was level 30 in the main series as part of the Crown's Beast event in Generation 4, and level 15 in Pokémon Go as research breakthrough rewards back in 2018 and 2019. However, the Johto beasts were shiny locked in every breakthrough they appeared in, so the lowest level their shiny variants could be found at before this event was level 20 from raid battles or Go Battle League rewards. This means that the Johto Tour was going to be a one-day event where these Pokemon would be available at levels never seen before. With Shadow Tracker in hand, our team ran around Toronto from one beast to the next. I managed to catch a full set of legendary beasts at level 1, and the 2 that are extra special to me are my level 4 Raikou and level 13 Suicune. Running around and tracking these Pokemon down was one of my best days ever playing Pokemon Go. So not only are these some of the rarest Pokemon in my collection, but souvenirs of some truly wonderful memories. Next on our list is a Pokemon from one of my favorite Pokemon games to date. Many may have slept on Pokemon Rumble back when it came out on the Nintendo Wii. I, however, was not one of them. I played this game on release, and I dumped many hours into it, playing with my brothers and my friends. Rumble is a game where you run around as a little toy Pokemon, massacring as many other toy Pokemon as you can. Rumble was actually where I failed my first ever shiny Pokemon, which leads us into a discussion of what Pokemon in this game could come close to being as rare as the others already on this list. The first shiny I ever failed was a shiny Boss Heatran that I found while playing with my little brother.
No!
Boss Pokemon are found on the final floor of each level you complete. Some species of Pokemon can only be shiny hunted as boss Pokemon, meaning that you need to run through the entire level for a chance to find just one.
Oh, shiny Marowak boss! Oh my god! Man!
That puts them at resets of around 1 minute if you're using the fastest possible Pokemon. However, this game has some fascinating mechanics that have allowed players to find many more shiny Pokemon than you might expect. In Pokemon Rumble for the Wii, each player increases the shiny rates. So with 4 players, the shiny rates go from 1 in 8,160 to 1 in 2,040. You might think then, well, Rumble Pokemon aren't that hard to shiny hunt, not even the bosses. So what if I told you that the Pokemon I have to show you is still over 10 times rarer than a shiny boss? Some of the hardest Pokemon to find in Pokemon Rumble are the 3 Lake Guardians. Mesprit spawns in Silent Forest and Windy Prairie, Uxie spawns in Rocky Cave and Bright Beach, and Azelf spawns in Fiery Furnace and Eternal Tower. All of them will only spawn at the EX rank, which is unlocked after the player beats the game, and will only spawn on the final floor before the boss level. Our testing has averaged seeing one of these Lake Guardians for every 16 runs in Eternal Tower. After extrapolating this out, we can get some estimated odds for each different level. In single player, the odds of finding a shiny Uxie in Rocky Cave is about 1 in 81,600 runs. And even with quad multiplayer method, it's still over 1 in 20,000 runs. Seeing over 100 Pokemon per run, we can estimate a shiny Uxie to be somewhere past a 1 in 2 million spawn, even with the increased odds of the multiplayer method. Needless to say, the fact that I've found one...
Yo! Oh my... No! Shiny Uxie! Oh my god!
Uxie!
Oh my god, dude! No way!
Uxie,
Oh
man.
my god, dude! No way!
Man.
Is insane. Not only that, but my brother has found one as well. Between the two of us, we found Mesprit single hunting on a single console, and Uxie single hunting across 8 consoles. So I didn't even have boosted odds, which means it was over a 1 in 8 million spawn. It also happened to show up on our NDev Wii development console, which was pretty cool. Now the last one we need is a Zelf, which we've been quad hunting across 16 consoles. If you want to be there when the set is finally finished, or learn more about Pokemon Rumble, be sure to follow the Professor's Lab over on Twitch for some 64-time shiny hunting during Rumble weekends. Heating up, the next spot on our list is a Pokemon as cool as ice. Meet Frostburn, my shiny Alolan Ninetales. He's a Pokemon I caught in Pokemon Go during the global makeup event for the Pokemon Go Safari Zone Philadelphia back in May of 2020. What makes him special is his moveset. For an Ice-type Pokemon, he certainly has a lot of fire moves. The reason for this is due to a bug that occurred in Pokemon Home when support for Pokemon Go was first released on November 10th, 2020. When a Galarian or Alolan variant of a Pokemon from the first 151 of the Pokedex were transferred from Go to Home, they would receive moves based off of their Cantonian Let's Go Learn set. So when I traded my Vulpix in at level 24, it got Will-O-Wisp, Fire Spin, and Flamethrower.
The perfect Vulpix. I cannot believe that level 24 gives you that moveset. That's insane. Confuse Ray, Will-O-Wisp, Fire Spin, and Flamethrower.
I also traded one over at level 32 to swap Will-O-Wisp for Fire Blast.
This is so cool. I'm so excited to actually have a Pokemon from Pokemon Go brought in. That is something special from a real-life event that I've been to. There we go.
Within a short time, this bug was fixed, and by November 26th, an official announcement was made for something unprecedented. TPCI was going to begin reaching into save files and fixing the moves of these Pokemon. These illegal Pokemon were automatically fixed if they still remained in Home, and ones that have been moved into Sword and Shield would be fixed if the players connected to Home. So unfortunately, Frostburn is going to be stuck in Sword and Shield indefinitely. Next up is Pikachu, but not just any Pikachu. This very specific Pikachu. The keen among you may recognize this as a Pikachu from the Pokémon Center New York, specifically the 6-day event campaign that started on August 30th, 2003, which featured Pokémon holding evolution stones. But honestly, I've never been to New York, and this Pikachu didn't even exist until 2019. So where did it come from? To start answering that question, my good friend Groudon has something to show you.
Hey everyone, my name is Groudon, and this is going to be a quick 80-second crash course on the Pokémon Center New York distribution device. So the Pokémon Center New York was a retail store in Rockefeller Center that opened on November 16th, 2001. The store sold a variety of different Pokemon merchandise, they hosted tournaments, contests, and pretty much any activity related to Pokemon that you could think of. On the second floor of the store were 4 large Pokemon distribution machines known as the Gotta Catch 'em All stations. Once a week, a player could come to the store and insert their game cartridge into one of the machines and receive a special Pokemon. Each week featured a different set of Pokemon to be distributed to players. At the base of all of these machines was an NR GameCube, a Pokemon distribution machine software disk, and this distribution device here, which in extremely simplified terms is just a modified Game Boy Advanced. After the Pokemon Center New York closed down in 2005, the Gotta Catch 'em All stations were pretty much assumed to all be lost to time, until an anonymous donor reached out to Tony at Hard4 Games almost 15 years after the store's closing, with the goal of having Hard4 Games dissect and document the software and distribution machine. If you're interested in knowing more about the machine, or the Pokemon Center New York in general, make sure to check out PokemonCenterNewYork.com and the videos made by Tony and Allie over on Hard4 Games. Thank you.
So, how does my Pikachu tie into all of this? As Groudon explained, Tony of Hard4 Games had a lot of testing to do in order to figure out how this machine worked. One of the cartridges he used for that testing is this one right here, signed by Tony and everything. And on this cartridge one of the very few cartridges to have touched the PCNY machine since its rediscovery in 2019, is a Pikachu. The first Pokemon Tony claimed for this save. Okay, so we know where it came from. But how did I get my hands on it? By having a freaking dope Pokemon collection. No, seriously. In 2020, Retro Alley and Hard for Games hosted a panel as part of the online Uplink convention. I caught wind of Tony giving away a Pokemon Sapphire cartridge to whoever bought tickets for the event and sent him an email with the most impressive Pokemon collection. If you've seen the lab, you'll understand why I thought I had a pretty good chance of winning.
I did write down, was it Jake's? Because that one struck me in particular.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
See if we can get
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes you have to just bring it back just a little bit.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Oh
got,
my
like, this whole
god.
display.
Fast forward a few weeks, and I had myself a piece of Pokemon history. I have no idea how I could even begin to figure out how rare these Pokemon are. But with how lucky the community had to get for them to even be possible, I'm gonna say at least a 4. As Groudon mentioned, if you want to learn more about the Pokemon Center New York, be sure to check out the Hard for Games video or PokemonCenterNewYork.com. Without the dedication of people like Hard for Games, Retro Alley, and the team over at Project Pokemon, this would have been a top 9 list, so be sure to go support them where you can. Swiping its way into the next spot on our list, we have Edward Scissorhands. No, not that one. Scizor Hands, like the Pokemon. Anyways, this shiny Scizor is very near and dear to my heart. I snagged it back in 2020 in Pokemon Coliseum as a Shadow Pokemon.
Oh, wow! Oh my goodness, what the heck?
There are a couple things that make this Pokemon unique and especially rare. First off, he has the National Ribbon. This ribbon can only be obtained through the purification of a Shadow Pokemon, meaning that despite having a clean heart now, we will always know where Edward came from. Additionally, Scizor is a Shadow Pokemon that can only be captured in the Japanese version of Pokemon Coliseum, because in order to encounter it, players must have beaten the main game and have access to the 20 base series double battle e-cards. Players then need to scan each card at least 3 times as they make their way through the 74 battles needed to reach the trainer that has Shadow Scizor. Since these cards were never released outside of Japan, Scizor, as well as the other 2 e-reader exclusive Shadow Pokemon, remain locked away in the e-reader room of Japanese Pokemon Coliseum. One final thing that makes this Pokemon rare is how shiny hunting works in Pokemon Coliseum. When a player first encounters a Shadow Pokemon, its stats and ID are all generated randomly. If the player attempts to re-encounter that same Shadow Pokemon later on in the playthrough, those stats and ID numbers won't change. Interestingly though, Shadow Pokemon compare their IDs against the IDs of their own AI trainer to determine shininess. The first time a Shadow Pokemon is generated, the game won't let them be shiny for the AI. But if the player encounters that Shadow Pokemon later on in the playthrough, the ID will already be locked in, though the AI trainer ID will change, meaning that they can be shiny for the AI later on in a playthrough. This actually happened to me by accident, as well as my good friend Venti. Oh my god! Oh my god! Ow! Oh my god! Oh no!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh no!
Oh no!
No! So, if Pokemon can't be shiny the first time we encounter them, how do we catch shiny Pokemon in Coliseum? In order to do that, we need to catch Shadow Pokemon on the first encounter, even if it isn't shiny in battle. Because once we catch a Shadow Pokemon, we will become its OT. This means that the Pokemon's ID will now be compared against our player's ID instead of against the AI, which the game didn't have any protections against. This means that the existence of shiny Shadow Pokemon in Coliseum is a complete oversight. An oversight that was actually corrected in Pokemon XD. Whether a shadow Pokemon is shiny before you catch it has absolutely no bearing on if it will become shiny afterwards. Meaning hunting these Pokemon requires catching the Pokemon every reset. This makes it very common to use the Master Ball to hunt. So, to add a little bit more spice, mine isn't a Premier Ball, because it's a Premier Pokemon. If you want to learn more about my journey to catch my shiny Shadow Scizor, check out the video I posted regarding its hunt. The next Pokemon on our list is Chansey, again. Though this one is far different than the one I found in the Safari Zone. For this one, we're jumping back over to Pokémon Go. Even if you aren't a huge fan of Pokémon Go in the modern day, there's a pretty good chance that you played the game back in 2016 when it came out. That is the time period this Pokemon stems from. You see, back when Pokemon Go first came out, there were quite a few Pokemon that had moves in their move pool that they had never had access to in the main series. Over time, these moves were pulled from their move pool, but Pokemon that already had them weren't changed. On August 19th, 2016, there was a massive culling, leaving many moves locked behind being obtained in the first 44 days of the game's release. Most of these moves can now be taught back through the use of Elite TMs, but there are some Ultra Legacy moves that remain unobtainable. My personal favorite is Chansey with Psybeam, which I lucky traded with Professor Jack.
Jack and I, we got a lucky trade to do. We've been waiting for years to do this lucky trade. 98!
Oh, so close!
Oh my gosh! Yo,
That's
98!
so close, bro.
Okay, so that's gonna go up to 1362, and that is a Psybeam Chansey. You cannot get these anymore. They are Ultra Legacy. They will never be available in Pokemon Go again.
Of course, my Psybeam Chansey was illegal for use at Worlds, and Psybeam can never be transferred out of Pokemon Go. But either way, with how rare Chansey was back in 2016, I doubt very many of these still exist. If you'd like to see if you have any of these Ultra Legacy Pokemon yourself, be sure to check out the pinned comment, which will have a search string that you can use to see if you have any in your Pokemon Go inventory. If you do, let me know in the comments section. The next Pokemon I have to share with you is very near and dear to my heart. This is my Japanese Mew from the Red and Blue Virtual Console. This Mew had a very far journey in order to get into my hands. Back when the Generation 1 games came out on Virtual Console, there was a set of limited edition 2DS consoles that were released alongside them. Since Pokemon Green was only going to see a Japanese release, the Green 2DS was going to be a Japan exclusive, and I really wanted to have it. So I bought one for myself and had it shipped out to Canada. Each of these 2DS came with a ticket that allowed players to receive Mew in the virtual consoles of Pokemon Red, Blue, Green, or Yellow. There was just one problem. To receive the Mew, I'd have to bring this ticket to an in-person event in Japan between March 19th and May 8th of 2016. As a callback to some of the original Mew events of the late 90s, Mew had to be traded into games at Toys R Us, Aeon, Game Tsutaya, or a Pokemon Center. Even to this day, the only legitimate way to receive a Japanese Virtual Console Mew has been with this ticket. Mew also had an in-person event in the UK as part of a special invite-only launch party for Pokemon Sun and Moon on November 22nd, 2016. These events share the same trainer ID and a special Game Freak OT. The systems used for these events ran a modified version of Pokemon Red with a save state that would be reloaded after each trade. This made it so each Mew that was given away was identical, and since they all had perfect 15 DVs, none of them would ever be shiny when transferred into Pokemon Bank. Not that any of that mattered, because I live in Canada, and had no way of picking up an event that was on the other side of the world. Luckily, a kind stranger from the Sylph Road offered to pick up the event for me if I mailed him the ticket. And just like that, the ticket flew its way back to Japan and was traded in for a beautiful Mew. My Mew stayed over in Japan until the Virtual Console games got bank support, at which point it was finally sent home to me. I have no idea how many of these Mews might exist, though having to buy an entire console to get just one makes it one of the more expensive Pokemon that I own. but no matter how many are out there, this one is very special to me, as a Pokemon fan from the other side of the world went out of their way to just do something nice for me. And like I often say, the rarest Pokemon are the friends we make along the way. Speaking of rare Pokemon, here's one for you. My underleveled shiny Metapod from Generation 3. Yo! Holy Pika! Yes! I'm a huge fan of obtaining Pokemon at levels lower than you could evolve them at through regular gameplay. Since Caterpie evolves into Metapod at level 7, the only way to get a shiny Metapod at level 6 or below is in the wild. Now, I did also find a shiny Kakuna that was level 6, making it underleveled as well.
Yo, there we go. Woohoo!
Though, I think the level 4 Metapod is just a tad cooler. The level 4 Metapod can only be found in Viridian Forest as a 10% spawn, though the level 4 Metapod actually uses the 4% slot. Running down the numbers, we can calculate shiny level 4 Metapod to be a 1 in 204,913 spawn, in an area where you're most likely to phase on worms. So MetaPOG is not only a rare shiny, but a hard one too. This shiny was found as part of my ongoing Professor Rex's challenge, where I'm working my way through Fire Red and Leaf Green, catching every wild shiny Pokemon available before each gym badge, and was the last one I needed before taking on Brock. She took me over 220,000 encounters and 19 phases to find, but luckily, I have the pay-to-win strat down pat. If you would like to see where I'm at in this challenge, be sure to head over to the Professor's Lab Twitch channel, where I stream all the hunts. MetaPOG! Badoo! Whew. The last Pokemon I have to share today comes from a very special weekend in my life. This is my Lugia from the first Pokemon Go Fest back in 2017. Go Fest was the first trip Tops and I ever took together as adults, and despite all of the gameplay issues, I look back on it as a core memory. You see, Pokemon Go Fest 2017 was a bit of a disaster.
Tens of thousands of Pokemon fans are Poke-mad after technical glitches turned today's Pokemon Go Festival to a huge flop.
The game lagged and crashed and was a general mess. But being surrounded by Pokemon fans made for an extremely special trip. Also, if it weren't for the terrible gameplay experience, Niantic definitely wouldn't have given me this weird Lugia. After GoFest 2017, Niantic released the first ever legendary raids.
We have unlocked the legendary Pokemon Lugia!
I got to be part of the first Lugia raid in the world. I clambered to the top of the playground in the park, begging for some sort of a signal, but to no avail. I wasn't actually able to catch the Lugia at the park that day, though to apologize to all of the players who were affected by the poor game experience, Niantic injected a Lugia into each player's account.
Trainers here at Grant Park, everyone who has successfully checked in will receive Lugia in your account.
At first, this Lugia was special as its CP didn't match its IVs, something that would be fixed by powering it up, not that I wanted to fix it. Eventually, CPs were reworked and the Lugia from GoFest had its power levels fixed. Though there was one more oddity that would arise. Niantic had added in the ability to search for costumed Pokemon like the Squirtle with sunglasses, and the weird injected Lugia would show up alongside them. This is the only Lugia that does it, and the only one that gets registered into the costume event decks, but it has no costume. It's weird to say the least, but as a Pokemon that was only available at a single in-person event, and that most people have probably deleted, it is one of the rarest in my collection.
And there it is, 10 of the rarest Pokemon in my collection. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, smack subscribe, and follow us over on twitch.tv/professorslab. If you really liked this video, share it around with your friends. Send that link to your family, your dentist, your dog, your best friend, your worst friend. If you think they might enjoy the video, send them the link. because that's how we're going to continue to grow the community. Speaking of community, my Twitch community is pretty cool. You should check it out. The subscribers have continued to support me, and it's exactly what made this video possible. As an added bonus thank you, Twitch subscribers are going to be getting behind the scenes footage for upcoming videos and past videos, and a very special director's commentary of this video right here, where I'm going to be going into the details that I couldn't fit into a 30-minute video. Finally, this video took a lot of work, like a lot of work. So any way that you can share it around really is appreciated. I'd love to grow this community because I love sharing my passion of Pokemon. And I want to make more friends. Because at the end of the day, the rarest Pokemon are the friends we found along the way.